Today we're going to do something fun. It's really getting into geospatial and web mapping. I posted lab 6 last night, and so first let me quickly go over lab 6. So if you go to the website, these are a couple of the steps that I want you to do. So on Tuesday we already talked about how to add functions to a Python package, right? And today we want to talk about how to add classes. Basically, you can build on top of other packages to create a class that inherit all the features. So basically, you build on top of other people's work. And Tuesday we also talk about how to add documentation to your functions. And today we are going to do something similar. So add functions and documentations to a class. And we're also going to talk about how to add a notebook to your website. So on Tuesday we add that, but it doesn't work yet. So today I want to fix the problem. So make sure that you follow all the steps. Eventually, your documentation website need to have examples, notebooks that people can try it out, and also you need to have the documentation sold up. The function help documentation show up on your website. And lastly, we're also going to talk about how you can release a new version. We already talked about this in the past, but so today we're going to do it again. So just to show you how you make a new release once you are ready. Okay, so those are the couple steps that we're going to go through. Questions about lab 6? If not, let's get started. So we're going to continue with what we left off last on Tuesday. If you remember what we did, right? So in the lecture, we add a notebook example. So initially, it was under the root directory. So let me open this one just to make it very clear what I'm talking about. So under the downloads directory, so I have the package, right? So earlier, I add an examples folder and then add a notebooks. But when you're building the documentation website, everything needs to be under the docs directory. So take a look at this here. You should see this docs directory. So all your files, if you want to show up on your website, it need to be housed within here. Otherwise, you won't see the file. So that's why it failed. And if I go back to show you here, let me open the website. And we go to actions. Did I fix that? The OS demo 2 days ago. Probably I already fixed that. So the reason for that is I moved the files. Did I fix that? I don't think I fixed it. Why it's anyway. So what you need to do is when you're trying to add something to your package, if you want to have a notebook show up on your website, make sure you have that within a documentation folder. So in here, I can have subfolders, or you can directly put the notebook in here. It's up to you. But what I would recommend is to create an examples folder and then put it under the docs directory. Within there, you can have as many notebooks as you want. So today, we want to add more notebooks to there. Once you have this one, then come back to here to the root directory. So the mkdocs. So the website is built on top of a package called mkdocs. It's a Python package that used to build websites. And so this would be basically the menu, what it looks like. Examples here. Oh, I remember what I missed last time. So if you go to the website here, I'm going to show you why it doesn't show up. So the problem is that last time when we add the website, add the notebooks, you see here examples, it doesn't show up, right? If I click here, it says none, not found. So what it's looking for is the examples, and then the intro.ipyleaflet is not there. So that's what's the problem. And now since we moved the directories into the docs rather than directly under the examples folder, we can try this one again. So we can say add edit notebooks to docs, and then Control Enter. Sync changes. This time it should show up, but it might take a couple minutes to build. Yes?
Did you move your whole examples folder into there?
Yeah. The whole examples.
Okay.
So previously, the examples directory was actually outside here. So let me just to show you here. Okay. So this is what it looks like on Tuesday, right? And when I publish the website and then trying to click on the notebook, it doesn't show up. The reason for that is when the website is being built, it's going to look for the files under here. So the examples, if you come back to this documentation here, it's going to look for the examples directory under the docs documentation docs folder, and then intro.ipyleaflet is not there. Okay, so I recommend to make things simple, just move the examples. So whatever you want to show up on the website, move into the docs folder, and then you can push. Then in your mkdocs.yml, this one here, you can reference the file path, right? So if you see here Python examples, if you go back to right now, right, I have examples, I have lab assignments, I have Python, right? So this is what exactly was showing up on the website. Okay, let's come back and double check again. Make sure that it builds successfully. It's still building. Should be in a minute or two. Then if you go back to the website, you should be able to see the notebook. And the nice thing about that is people can download the notebook. You can also have an open in Google Colab base. It can automatically open that one. So this is what it's going to look like here. If you go to the leaf map website, right, on the left side here, I have a tons of notebooks in here. I have different menu, right? I have 70 notebooks. So users just need to, for example, click in one of the notebooks, and it's come up, and you're going to see this icon here, upper right corner here, download icon. So users can just download this one to their computer. It's going to use ipyleaflet. Rather than people open your, if you go to this one, right? Let's say you are people on your website, they're trying to download a notebook from your GitHub folder. It's not as straightforward. So you need to go here and then docs, right? Examples, and then click this one. It looks like that. Then if you need to download the file, you actually have to click this one, the raw button, and then right click, and then save as. And sometimes on your Windows operating system, it's going to save as a TXT, and then you need to download, you need to remove the file extension to ipyleaflet. So it's kind of a not very straightforward. But if you have a website like this, and then just double click, click the icon, and then download, boom, just one click. You don't have to navigate to so many menus. So this basically lower the barriers, makes your package more easier to use. Let me double check again, see if this is done. Actions. Okay, you see it's finished. Now we can come back to this here, refresh. Oops. What happened? Examples intro. Yes?
Every time I try and push and sync Google's video on GitHub, it says some checks were not successful.
Some what?
Some checks were not successful. It just fails to deploy.
Yeah, so if it is not successful, go to the actions. You need to make sure that you see all the green check mark. If there's something wrong, then your website won't be deployed. We can take a look at it later. So make sure that you see this one here. Whether the website is successful or not is because the GitHub Actions take care of everything. So when you push things to GitHub, it's going to build the website based on the file they hosted on GitHub. And this is also called continuous integration. That means that you don't have to worry about the deployment. It's going to check, for example, based on different Python versions, and it's all going to also build a website. Let me double check this one again because it doesn't show up here. Okay, it shows up now. See, examples, intro, and here. But you see, it's not, something is wrong. It's going to show you, okay, module file error, no module name, this one, because when the website is being built, you have two options. You can ask the website to run the notebook and then render all the outputs, or you can just skip that. So that one you can control in the mkdocs website here. It's under this one. Can you find this one, mkdocs Jupyter? Under there you should see two options: include source code, true, execute, true. That means you can either execute or not. So this something you need to decide. If you have a package that have a notebook that runs like very long, you probably want to skip that, because when it's building a website, you don't want to take like 4 hours. So for this one right now, I only have one notebook. It's fine. I can just execute. And the other thing why you want to execute is that your website will be interactive. So if you have any map components, people will be able to zoom in and zoom out. So this is one thing that you want to do. For example, if I go to the div map, right? So see here, you want to see all the in something. That basically means the notebook has been executed. So when the website is being built, it run the notebook first and then convert that one to HTML and then post it on the website. And that's why you see here, right? It would be nice that people go to your website and they can try it out. They can zoom in, they can zoom out. Pretty nice. But not all the advanced mapping libraries support this. This one is built on top of so-called Folium, so you will be able to see. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. You can use base map, right? And this is why you want to set the execute to true. But if you have something complicated or runs a long time, you want to skip that so that you don't run that. So next, I'm going to show you how to fix this issue. As you see from here, import GOS demo and then blah blah. It says no module name this one. The reason for that is when you are building the website, you need to make sure that the virtual computer actually install the package. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And I'm going to show you exactly where you look for that information. So if you go to the actions, right, and then go to build. No, I think it's docs. Docs, and then from here, if you click in, click the deployment. This is actually shows you exactly how this website is being built. So everything is actually under this documentation. If you go to the package directory, you should see a .github directory, .github workflows, docs YML. So we are utilizing basically the cloud computing. In that way, you don't have to have a server on the cloud. GitHub has that for you. So all you need to do is the right instruction on how you want it to be done. If you look at this one here, we are going to basically, whenever push branches, this one called on. On means basically it's a trigger. You can see it's a switch. So if your actions meet one of those criteria, it's going to run the job for you. So basically this is automation, right? So what this one is doing essentially, when I push something to the master branch, I'm going to do this one. So do this one means like whenever I update my repo, I want to rebuild the website. That's why the website is automatically refreshed. So here it's going to run on Ubuntu, the latest version, and you're going to check out, you don't have to worry this one. So here, this is basically when it's building, it's going to create a virtual computer. It's going to install all the dependencies. So here it's going to install, for example, upgrade the pip version and then install this one. Also install the requirements.txt. Then it's going to run the notebooks. The reason that the GOS demo is not there because we didn't install this one when we set up this one. So if I come back to here and then run maybe, let me see. It doesn't allow me to, I need to view because I haven't logged in yet. Anyway, so if you log into your account, you should be able to double click and then see that. So let me see if I can, yeah, I don't have my account here. But anyway, that's fine. So if you see from this one, then it's going to show you that something is wrong because you didn't install the package. So what you can do here, very important, okay? This step, this line you probably need to add for your package because it's not in the template. So I forgot to add it in the template, but you can fix the error. Just add one more line of code. So go to your .github and then workflows, docs, then come to here and pick install users requirements.txt. So what you need to do, basically, you can just copy this line, copy this last line, and then press enter, paste it, remove the requirements.txt, just add a period. So what this one is doing, if you remember last time, right, I showed you how to install the package. Pip install period means I'm going to install this package, because the website shows you that, okay, if you come to here, GOS demo is not named because the package is not installed. So the package ourselves, the one we're developing, need to be installed in order to be able to run your notebook. Otherwise, you are only installing the requirements.txt. So if you come back to here, the requirement.txt is empty. There's nothing there. But you keep in mind, don't put your GOS demo, don't put the name of your package within the requirement.txt. Otherwise, you are only installing the one from the PyPI. That one is not the latest version because we have not made a release. So basically, don't depend on yourself. Don't add your package, yourself package into the requirements.txt. That's not supposed to do that, okay? You only add other packages that you build on top of those. So this is only one line you need to add. You not necessarily, also remove the -r. You're not supposed to add the -r. So the -r means you're going to install from a file, okay? So just pip install. This one is not really necessary. You can put in there. It's just to make it consistent. So essentially pip install period. Okay, that's what you need to do for that. Otherwise, your website will fail if you're trying to execute notebook. So once I have this one, then I can just say okay, update docs.yml, and then just push. So after a couple of minutes, then the website should be built, and your package should be available when the website is being built. So in that way, you will have exactly something like this. We don't have a map here yet. I will show you how to do that. But for now, this is what you're going to look like. Okay, and this is one way you can build a website. And also, make sure they try to add a icon here, the base, open in Google Colab base. Otherwise, people need to download this one to their computer in order to run that. You want to have something like this, so I can try it out in different cloud computing platforms. And they can just open it, so I can just here, open in Google Colab, right? I can just open it. Then I can just uncommon, I can run through. So this makes it so much easier. So next, I'm going to show you here, right? I just add a base. We have done that for all the lab assignments. You should be able to do that right now very easily. So what you need to do, I come back to here, and I just need to maybe go to my, did I already have some base? Not here yet. So where did I did it? Anyway, let me come back to here. I just want to copy the base somewhere. So maybe let me go to the markdown. Basically, you just need to get the icon and just the URL. That's it. So on raw, I just need open in Google Colab. I just need this line. I'm gonna copy here, come back to my directory here, and then go to the docs examples, right? Intro. So here you just add a new code block to the beginning. So you'll be adding a markdown. Move it up here. Okay, and then just Control V, right? So you are adding a Google Colab base. If I run this one right now, you see I have the base in here, but the URL is not right. So usually what I do is come back to my repo and then go here, click the docs, and then the where's it, examples, right here. Then just come to the URL. If you remember, you just to Colab. Then it's redirect the you need to open the link, I think. 1 second. So open the click the notebooks. So make sure that your URL ends with ipynb. Then just go to github.com to add to Colab, hit enter. Then you can just copy this URL, okay? Come back to the notebooks, then replace this one. Hit enter. Now it's open in Google Colab. So make sure that for every notebook that you add, at least have one open in Google Colab so people can try it out. If I click this one right now on my computer, it should take you to the URL. And this is how you keep updating notebook, and then you don't have to worry about how users use that because it's automatic. Okay, and let's check this one again. See if this is updated now. Refresh. Take a look. Alright, the error is gone because earlier we add our package into the build, the documentation. Now you can build. Yes?
Where did you put to Colab in the link?
Oh, to Colab in the link. So it will be in your notebook. So if I double click, you will have this one. So the earlier basically was just called you need this URL. So this is basically the image, and this is the link to your.
I mean, like when you were on GitHub.
On GitHub, oh, I just copied from somewhere because this is a long URL. It's a bit difficult to remember. So if you want, you can just go to, for example, leafmap.org, leafmap website, and then go to GitHub. Right, I have tons of icons in here. So basically, if you need an icon, just find an existing website and just copy. The image will be the same. The URL behind the base will be different. So you can just maybe go here and then you can click the readme markdown. Where is it? You might need to click here directly. Okay, readme, and then click the raw button. Okay. And here, this is basically what the URL you need to copy if you want. So I'm looking for the one Google Colab, right? So you can just copy this one. And you see here, the first one is basically the same. What you need to change is the second one. So you just copy this one to your notebook. And then you can add a new code block, for example, here, right? Then change this one. This one is just like what I showed you earlier. Go to the GitHub repo of your notebook. And then just add to Colab, it should automatically redirect, and then you just paste the URL here. Make sense? So if I don't want to do it again here, right? Once you have that, you don't have to look for other website because you already have that. So later on, you can just copy from the website. So now, let me show you another one, right? So here, let's say I already added this one. I want to add another notebook. Basically, you are repeating the same process, right? So I'm going to say, okay, add new file. Okay, and I'm going to add another one. Maybe this one is called Folium.ipyleaflet. So I'm going to show you how you can build a website that with a map on your documentation, and then it runs perfectly. Okay, so what you need to do here, I can add this one, but this is where you start building on top of other people's work because previously we just used a built-in library. There is no really external packages. So this time, since I'm trying to show you the package called Folium, if you have never heard about it, it's a Python package for doing interactive mapping. So it's built on top of a library called Leaflet. I put the link on our website. So if you go to the course website resources, you should see some of the libraries that I put in here. And the ipyleaflet, we'll talk about that later. We're going to talk about Folium first. So Folium is probably the has the longest history. Is widely used, but it has limitation. It's called one way. I'm going to show you what that really means. So one way means you create a map. Once the map is displayed, it's a done deal. You cannot make changes to the map. You cannot remove a layer. You cannot change the name of the layer. You cannot change the opacity. It's done. So basically, you just think about you are in ArcGIS. You're trying to manipulate, create a map. You export the map to a PDF or to JPEG. Done. You cannot go back to like make changes to the images, make changes to the PDF because it's already fixed. ipyleaflet is different. ipyleaflet is also built on top of the Leaflet JavaScript library, but it's bidirectional. So you can change the opacity, you can turn the layer on and off, you can remove the marker. So basically it's bidirectional. But the downside is that because it has more dependencies, more likely sometimes users are going to run into trouble with installation. The map won't display, something's wrong. It's basically more complicated, but it's a lot more flexible. So we're gonna start with the Folium first, just to show you how you can actually create a map and then display on the website, and then later on we can build on top. We can add other functionality to that. So if you want, just simply click this here and click get started, right? Exactly like that, right? This is the website and the map is interactive. So we can do the same thing. We can create the map and then do that. So now if I simply maybe copy this one, Control C, come back to a notebook here, Control V, and then run. I'm not sure if I have installed the library or not, but most likely yes, because I installed leaf map previously. So you should be able to see this one run successfully. Once you have that, you can run M to display the map. Can you see the map? Yes? Pretty nice. But usually you want to create a new code block, so just move your cursor somewhere here and then press A is Apple. You can create a new block above. So for importing, usually you want to separate. Don't import and then run the code. So this will make it a little bit better. Okay. Run this one, run this one, run this one. Okay. Now we have a map. So next, let me show you how you actually deploy this map to the website so that people can open your website and they also can see the interactive map, right? So this is a pretty simple one. Once you add this one, the next important step, okay, pay attention. This is how we add the dependency to your package. This is where you really modify this requirement.txt. Although right now this one runs perfectly in here, it doesn't mean that it's going to run perfectly in the cloud. Everything needs to be pre-installed because we used pip install leaf map previously. It already installed all the dependencies. This one does not. So the cloud, that one, it all depends on the instruction here. The instruction is going to install from the requirement.txt. We don't ask it to install leaf map. So Folium package is not available there. So if right now you try to deploy, it won't be there. Understand? So now if I come back to here, just within the requirements.txt, add Folium, Control S. So basically we are adding the package as a dependency to our package. So that later on when the website is being built, the package is available and then it should work. Okay. So the next step, once you have this, we add it to the requirements.txt. It runs fine. The next step is add that one to the menu, to the website, right? Because if you go to the website here, we want it to show up on under the example, for example, intro and then Folium, right? Right now it's not there. So what you need to do is go to the mkdocs YML. So this one basically control what your website is going to look like. And we will have to come here to add the examples over here, right? So put your cursor on this line and then just Control C, Control V. It's automatically copy that line and then move to the next one. Control C, Control V. You don't have to select, okay? You don't have to select. Just put your cursor, Control C, Control V. If you have a bunch of examples, this will be pretty quick. Control V. Okay. So what we need to do here, because we only have two, and I'm just going to change the name from intro to the name, whatever name you choose here. So it's called Folium.ipynb. So I'm going to just put here Folium.ipynb. Okay, done. Control S. Okay, so this is pretty much the step that you need to take. Okay, add the dependencies to the requirements.txt, and then you can start developing. Right now we're just using a notebook. We haven't added functionality to our package yet. I'm just running the notebook. Okay, and then modify the mkdocs YML to add that one to your website. And lastly, I can just say add push it to your website. So edit Folium notebook. Okay, Control Enter, and then push. So wait for 2 minutes. It should be there. Yes.
I did everything in my docs folder like 20 minutes ago, and it's still showing up 404 not found on the website.
So make sure that here.
Yeah.
Let me take a look. So the you might need to refresh. Sometimes it's just cache. So did you build successfully?
Yeah. Like.
Oh, you have a hyphen at the beginning. You see that? Go back to your website. Yeah, repo. You know, your repo. So go down. I think the problem is your hyphen. Yeah, here. You need to have a space. So if you don't have a space, the file path is going to be wrong. So the problem is here. So the hyphen basically means is the bullet point is. So you need to have a space. Otherwise, basically you need to have the space here and then space and then the file path and then just rebuild it. It should be good to go. Any other issues? Let me refresh. It might take some time. It's basically building the website. So let me refresh. Still working on. Okay. So these are all free resources. So think about here. This saves you tons of time. In the past, as a developer, you're building this, you're building a website, and then you need to run things locally, and then build a website, and then push the website. But now, all you need to do is just to have those GitHub actions. Once you finish pushing, everything else being taken care of. You don't need to worry about how to build that. And sometimes things will go wrong. Then you go back to take a look at the history just to see what's wrong, and then you fix the problem, and the website should be up and running. And this is basically all the steps that I'm doing pretty much every day. I write something, I add some features, I add some notebooks, and if you add dependencies, then you add to the requirements.txt, and then you make changes, you commit, you push, done, right? And then you make a new release. So basically, usually the general workflow, it looks like that. So, and if you click in, okay, it's done. Then we can come back to here, refresh. See, Folium, and I hope the map is there. Okay. Surprise. Not surprised. Its map is exactly there. This is what I want it to be, right? Now the map is interactive, right? So you can add as many notebooks as you want. And for the website, only the Folium is supported. The ipyleaflet is not. So I'm going to show you later, like we want to add some other stuff, but you can get things, some pretty nice map. You can also have 3D or some others, but always keep in mind, not everything will show up. Sometimes you will just see, for ipyleaflet, you will just see it's being executed, but the map will not show up. So if you want your map to be interactive, then probably you will have to use Folium, because behind the scene it's basically just using the leaflet JavaScript library, building the map, and then convert it to HTML and then display. It's not bi-directional. So here, you can actually add a layer control if you want. For now, let's just keep it as it is. Okay, so this is the workflow for adding packages, adding notebooks. Add your notebook to your documentation menu, and then deploy it. How many have you seen the map on your website? Any of you? No one? Deploy fail, what's the issue? If you follow the instruction that I showed you earlier, you should have this one. Anyway, I can have you debug after class. We need to go to finish the other section about how to add things to your package. Okay, so the next one we'll show you here is using another library called ipyleaflet. Again, I put the link on the website here, ipyleaflet. So you're welcome to try it out. We are going to just use some simple functions. We are not doing super complicated stuff here. I'm just showing you how to get started. What's the general workflow? Okay. So again, right now, we are trying to add some functions. So the first step, usually what you need to do, if you want to add that one to your package, make sure that you add that one to your requirements.txt, because otherwise it's not available. So when user basically pip install your package, it's going to install all the packages within the requirements.txt. If it is not there, then they will run into error. So since right now we're trying to add doing ipyleaflet, so you just need ipyleaflet Control S. So make sure that that one is available for your package. Then we can start doing some testing. So you want to add another notebooks here. Okay, new file, ipyleaflet.ipymb, So keep in mind here, the file name doesn't have to be exactly like the module or the package you were trying to add. It can be anything. So the file name doesn't matter. The file name is going to just the one that is going to see here on the website. So it's whatever you want to do. And once you have this one, then we can start experimenting some of the package, some of the functions about ipyleaflet. Okay, you should have this one already installed, because if you install leafmap already install all the packages. So next, let me show you how you can get some examples. It's actually pretty simple. You can on the home page, you can try it out here, or you can go to maps. Oops, what happened? So if you click the maps, just like here, the map is actually interactive. It depends on the packages. MKDocs right now doesn't support ipywidget, but it doesn't. It's fine. So for now, if you go to the maps, base map, and then click here, just this simple example, just copy and paste. So copy, come back to your notebook here, paste, just run it. You should be able to see the map. So this one is interactive. So is it running? And I'm going to show you what do I mean by bi-directional. So here, right now, you have this map, right? Pretty nice. It's going to load some like modis data, like weather data, and you can zoom in, you can zoom out. I can add a new code block. Right? So here I can just say m.clear layers. Okay. So keep in mind here, right, the map is already displayed. If you use the Folium that I showed you earlier, once the map is displayed, it's done. It's the done deal. You cannot make changes to the map. ipyleaflet is different. It's bi-directional. So you can send commands back to the map. You can make changes. So right now, if I run this one, pay attention to the map above. What happened? I clear all the layers. So the layers above are actually gone. That means it's very flexible. I can add stuff. I can modify. So in that way, it's not just like one time. It's not one way. So this is basically two-way street. Compared to Folium, it's just one way. But again, this one most likely sometimes will run into installation issues. So I'm going to run this one again and run this one again. So you see here app base map, blah blah blah. And this is quite complicated here, but you can change to something else. I can remove this one. I can show you, for example, base map doc. Oh, it's pretty interior. So maybe open topo map. Okay, open topo map. Take a look. You have this nice open topo map. So it has, I think, over 400 base map available. It's just one line of code. And so this is how ipyleaflet works, right? Just create a simple base map, set a center of latitude and longitude, and set a zoom level, and then just display the map. So next, I'm going to show you how you can actually build on top of this one, so they can add some functions to your package. And then so later on, it's just much easier. Right now, it's still, right, the user need to import this, blah, 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 and then trying to create this one. Can I do that just with one line of code? Just one line. Just import one package, and then, for example, just import leaf map, dot map, done. Right? I don't have to remember like what is in there. So let me show you like what's the differences. So I can just import leaf map, right? M equal to leaf map dot map, and then just display. Right? This is pretty much the same thing, but you will see on leaf map, I have all the buttons, I have the toolbar, and I can also search, right? I have those things already built in, and you just need one line. But if you're using ipyleaflet, if you're trying to get the same map like what I have in here, it's going to take you, I'm not sure how many lines, but it's going to work a lot more, because every component you need to edit, you need to ask for it. But for leaf map, I assume that these are the most commonly used. I just add them by default, but you can turn that off if you want to. So here, I can change the parameter called lead mode, okay, equal to 2, and then we can run this one. It's still the same thing. I forgot what parameter to use, but I remember it's not this one. Something might be off. I need to double check. Light mode. Anyway, let's try this one. m.add base map, for example, hybrid. Okay, this one works. So what you can do is to build on top of these packages and then just to simplify the process so the user don't have to write too much. Okay, so next let me go back to the package just to show you how you build on top of these packages so that you can develop functions, you can create the maps, and then so ideally users just import your package name and then your package name .map, and then you will have a map like this so that user don't have to import library, so they don't have to learn other packages. They just learn your package and then they can create the maps. So what you need to do is to come back to here. Right, this is what we did last time under your package name and then your package name .py. Right, so last time we already add some functions in here, but now we're going to add a class. A class is basically just like an abstraction, and then people can just use the class to create all kind of objects, different objects. What you need to do here is just class. Just type class. You see automatically you're going to choose like GOS demo, but I want the name to be map. Okay. And this is basically we're trying to create a class, but we want the class to come from ipyleaflet. So we're going to inherit. Oh, it's going to add a bunch of stuff in here. I don't want. So we want to build on top of ipyleaflet. So in that way, if you want to inherit that, you need to import the library first. So before you type that class at the beginning here, just import ipyleaflet, py-leaflet here. And then within here, inside the map, you can just type ipyleaflet.map. So this is what the definition is going to look like. Okay. So import ipyleaflet and then class map ipyleaflet. So means that our map class is built upon the ipyleaflet map class. So every attributes, every method is going to inherit from there. And then we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to start from the beginning. But we can simplify a lot of steps, right? So once we here, oops, I need to remove it. In there, you're going to have another function called def underscore init. So take a look at here. It's pretty intelligent. It's going to tell me underscore init self. You don't necessarily need this one. It's autocomplete, but you just need this function and then colon. Automatically, if you don't have this GitHub Copilot, you just add super parentheses underscore init. So what this one is doing, basically, when people are trying to create a map class, it's going to get whatever parameters that you have, and then it's going to pass in, and then it's going to execute the ipyleaflet. So essentially, I'm trying to create a map because my map class is built on ipyleaflet, and then it's going to create the ipyleaflet. Right now, we haven't passed any functions. We haven't have any additional parameters yet. For now, you can just simply looks like that. It should be fine. Okay, just Control S. Done. So then we can test it, see how our map shows up. So I can add a new. Let's add a new notebook. Okay, this time I'm going to call GOS-demo.ipymb. Okay, so once we're here, then we can start testing our package, see if it works. Okay, import whatever name of your package, and then now we can start creating a map. So because we already have the map class, I can say m equal to GOS. Okay, it's pretty intelligent. M. I hope it works. Nice. See that? So now my package is built on top of ipyleaflet, and everything works exactly like that. So I can come back to, for example, the ipyleaflet here. I can start adding more parameters. And it might not work yet, but I'm going to show you like here. I may come back here. I can just type center equal to maybe 40-degree latitude, negative 100-degree longitude, and also at the zoom level. You see? It's going to show you here. Init underscore get an unexpected keyword argument center, something like that, because we haven't allowed the function to add any parameters yet. Okay, so the reason for that is when we build on top something else, those arguments need to be specified, or you can make it very flexible. So come back to the file here, okay, and this is where you need to make changes. Think about when people use your doc map, it's going to run this function. So if you provide any additional argument, it needs to come in here. So this is the function going to be executed by default. Self. For every function within the map class, you always need to have the self. I will show you later, but for now, let's just think about here. Make it simple. Just comma, and then just type center, and then maybe zoom level. So this is just like the function that we introduced before. You are adding parameters to your function, so the user can actually use those. Okay. Also, once you pass the function, you need to pass back to your parent. Otherwise, even when you provide this, if you don't pass it to your parents, the information is not passed down. So you will still get the map, the default map. So just show you here, Control S, right? Just like that. Right now I have two center arguments. It should fix this problem, but the map will not be the one you like. So if you clear output, restart the kernel, run this one again, and this time it should not pop up the errors, but just the map is going to still be like that. The reason for that, although I pass it like center this zoom level, it needs to pass back to the ipyleaflet map class because it's not there. So what you need to do here is to come back to this one and then pass your parameters into the super. Super basically means your upper level, basically the class that you inherit from. So you'll be center equal to center, zoom equal to zoom. What this one is doing, because your parents, the ipyleaflet map class has this center argument, it also has the zoom argument. We are basically passing the value to here, passing this value to here. In that way, the information is passed down. So then you can instruct whatever you give me, I'm going to pass the information to the previous one. Then it's going to create a map. So now I come back to here, restart the kernel, run the clear output. You should see the map center around the US, right? Make sense? So this is how the information is passed by. But certainly, if you have many parameters, it becomes very inconvenient. And sometimes you just want to pass, for example, whatever the user gives to me, I want to pass it back to the parents. That will be simple, easy. So come back to here. This is like the solution that solves all the problems. So I'm gonna come back to here. During the Python basic lecture, we talk about like you can provide an arbitrary number of arguments. What's the name of that? How you specify the arbitrary number of arguments for a function? Remember? Yes. Okay. So it'll be comma, and then star KWARGS. The name actually doesn't matter, but you just need to be 2 star, and then usually the convention is KWARGS. That means you can provide as many as you want. It won't show up as any errors. Right now I haven't saved yet. Let me show you the example here, right? If I come back to here, I say base map equal to maybe blah blah hybrid. It's going to prompt an error, showing that you get an unexpected arguments. But once you add the 2 star KWARGS, you can provide anything. It won't show up as an error. So that means it's going to treat it as a dictionary. Whatever you provide is going to pass back to the last to here. Now things were here, and then do the same thing, comma, okay, KWARGS. This is the most simple way that you inherit something. You also have that flexibility that allow users to provide any parameters, anything. So now come back to here, refresh, restart, clear the output, and run this one again. Of course, the hybrid, the base map is not available, so you won't be able to actually see the map. This is right now the error basically is because the ipyleaflet package doesn't allow this parameter. And later I'm going to show you how we can actually fix this. So what we're trying to achieve here is that we build on top of the ipyleaflet map class, but we make it easier to use. So the user don't have to worry about like how to add the control, how to hit the full screen control, how to add the stuff. Okay, so now let me remove this one and run this one. Now here you can start changing the location. I can, for example, I can have the 40 and 100, right? So the first one is latitude, the second one is longitude. If I run this one, it's moved to, for example, region in China, but it's up to you where you want to location. As long as you know the latitude, longitude, you can center it. You can also have, for example, you can change the zoom level. I can change to 10, right? Like this. And by default, you will see here, when you zoom in and zoom out, right? The map doesn't zoom in and zoom out. It would be nice that user can just zoom in and zoom out without having to like do this. So once you can add is the parameter called scroll wheel zoom, I think it's called. Let me come back to here. If you want to check what attributes the map class has, you can scroll down to the documentation. You'll be able to see everything from here, like dragging, and this is the one, scroll wheel zoom. You can do it in here. I can come back to the map. I just type M and then dot. I don't know why it doesn't show up the auto complete. You can, if you're on Visual Studio Code, if it doesn't show up, you can press period and then control space. Control space to show up the list of documentation. So if you want to set, for example, right now, I want to make changes. I want the map to be able to zoom in and zoom out when I scroll my mouse. You just set this one. You'll be go to here, this one. Scroll, wheel, zoom, right? And then equal to 2. Take a look. So I run this one. Then I come back to the map. Now see here. Oh, it's still not working. mdoc user. It's not supposed to be, so it should come here. Yeah, it's not working. Let me see if I can fix it. So one thing here, this is where you customize. If you, by default, for example, when you create a map, you want it to be able to zoom in and zoom out. This is where you can control here. I can say if the user does not provide that option, I want to set that option to true. So in that way, when you create a map, by default, it's going to be able to zoom in and zoom out. What you can do here, because you have no idea what the user is going to provide, but you can have a check to see if the user provide this option or not. One thing you can do here, I can say if, and then double quotes, scroll, wheel zoom, not in this one. I'm going to set this one to true. So what this one is doing here is that if the user don't provide, that means this, if the user don't provide this option, it's not in there, I'm going to set this one to true, and then I pass it back to ipyleaflet. Okay, so now the KWAIG means it have one option. Is basically, if you want to see what it looks like, I can come back to here, just print KWAIGS. This will show you like what the user actually provide, right? Because you don't know, but you can check if the user provide or not. And I come back to here, restart, clear outputs. Now if I check this one, see? You see that? Now my mouse works because by default, if the user don't provide, I assume that the user want this one. And look at this. This is where I print out the KWARGS just to show you how the Python program captures what the user provide. I can try to provide more here. I can, for example, right now I can add another one, scroll. But if you want to turn it off, right, I can still to force. Take a look at this one here. I can run this one. Now the map is not, that option is turned off. Now if I zoom in and use my scroll bar, it doesn't work, right? So this means that you can set some default settings and say to true, but user can still turn it off. Make sense? Yes? The dot? Okay. So basically we allow the user to provide any parameters, and if the user don't provide this one, we set this one to true, and then we print out. So this is basically passed back to here, passed back to your ipyleaflet documentation. So this is how you can control. So the next one here, for example, I want to add more, just to show you. Right now the map is pretty basic. It doesn't really have any toolbars or stuff. How about this? I want to add by default a full screen button, so that the user can full screen. Although the full screen doesn't work here within within the Visual Studio Code, but it's work if you execute ipyleaflet. Maybe let's try another one here. I'm going to show you here. If you go to documentation, click controls. It has a bunch of controls, right? I can add, for example, how about this one? How about the is the source control works? Yeah. How about this? You want to add a search button onto your map. So by default, if the user don't ask for it, I provide the source control to my map, but the user can turn it off. So it's actually pretty simple. Take a look at this one here, right? If from ipyleaflet import map, blah 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 blah, and the marker, I can just simply copy off this. I'm just going to show you how you build on top of others. Actually pretty easy. So come here. Maybe let me add a function. I think just to make it less confusing. Right now we already have a base class, but I can add a function called add, for example, add source control, and then you add a control to the map. Okay. So I'm just going to add a function because this is also what I'm asking for lab 6. Besides adding the map class, I want you to also add some functions to the map class, just like map.m.add base map, m.add control, m.blah blah, right? So I can def. Keep in mind, it need to be indented under the map class, okay? Don't put it to the left, otherwise it won't work. I'm going to just add search control, for example, parentheses. You see, by default, it's pretty intelligent. I can just hit tab. It's going to say search control equal to ipyleaflet search control, and then you have a bunch of parameters, and then the self.add control. It might not necessarily work, but you can come back to here. It does import source control, and add a control by default. This is what it's going to look like. But let's see if this one works or not. Okay. So for now, I just going to Control S and see how it looks like. Basically, we want to create a ipyleaflet source control and then add a control to the map. So I'm going to come back to this one here, create the outputs, and just to make it simple. Oops. So I create a map, similar thing. Oops, I need to import first. Okay, so now I have the map here. Take a look. m.doc. Okay, the source control. Oops. Hit tab. Let's see if it works. Top right. Okay. See? Nice, right? So we just add basically 2 lines of code. Now you can add a source control. Pretty easy, rather than user have to define a lot of stuff. And you also notice earlier we actually didn't add any parameters. So these parameters, the magic of this one, KWARGS, whatever you provide is going to pass to this one. So you need to have 2 star. 2 star means it's a dictionary. it's going to unwrap the dictionary. So because every argument, you have the name, you have the value. Let me remove this one here. You can add other stuff. So if you come back to here, right now, say, okay, I want the position to be lower to the top left. I can do that as well. So I can come back to here, to the notebooks. And then rather than top right, I can add top left. Control Enter. See that? Now we have two, actually we have two search control. And I click this one. I can just type any name you like, right? You allow the user to search locations on your map. So let's try if Knox you can find Knoxville. K-N-O-S-V-I-L-L-E. Hit enter. It's not working. Oh, because we didn't pass in the this URL, because it will need basically an API because we didn't provide that, so it doesn't work by default. And this is where you probably want to do that. One thing you can do is you can have an URL, and then by default, if the URL is none, then you just use this default. So what I can do here, I can copy this one. Of course, you can come back to the notebook, just provide a URL. You should be fine. So I can come to here. URL equal to something, but it's going to be very long. So, and this is why it's a little bit inconvenient, because double quotes, because not all the users know how actually behind how it works. And you can certainly make it easier. So URL equal to URL, and then let me rerun this one. Run this, and then set the URL, add to the lower left corner. Now if I search, oops, it might be the API. Oh, there's a comma in here, so I have a comma. So this is. I know what's happening. So here, this is why it's sometimes a bit annoying. Let's try this one. Okay, perfect. Yeah, you see the drop down list? LETN. Oops. Click. See? Zoom to location nicely. And this is how you can actually customize. But as I mentioned, user need to enter this URL, blah blah. This one is not convenient. So in your package, you can set it as default, so the user don't have to worry about that. And now let's come back to this document, the function in here. This is where you set all the stuff, okay? And just like what we did earlier, I can say if URL not in blah blah, you see, it's just complete. If the URL is not in there, I provide the URL by default, so the user don't have to specify, okay? But so that you can add a control, you can also put it specifically in here. You'll be your position, your URL, whatever you want to provide. So right now it'll be like this. Let me double check, see if the URL is right. So I'm going to copy this URL, come back to here, and then paste in here, right? Also, you can do that, say if, or do it this way. I think it would be better, because if your function looks like that, users actually have no idea what they need to provide. So it's probably better that you actually spell them out, just like what you are doing in here, but you can have it as optional, so the user don't have to provide values. I can do it in here. I can say position SITION equal to, for example, top left, okay, and then comma. Alright, make sense? So now basically the user can specify the position in top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, but you need to make sure that you pass in the arguments into here. Otherwise, it's not going to pass back to the ipyleaflet. So what you can do is actually position equal to position, and then comma, Control S. So what we are doing here, we actually, is there a typo? Yeah, it's work, right? So what this one is doing, okay, the user just need to call this function and then provide a position. They are welcome to provide additional parameters. They don't have to, but most likely you when you're designing something, always think about what would be the parameter that most likely the user want to customize. If that one that the user most likely to use, you want to specify that out in the function. And if you have, but if your function has 20 parameters, it doesn't really make sense to list all them out, because most of those the user don't use. Then you can just replace that one with this, and it is flexible. The user can provide whatever they want. Then later on you just pass in here. So now that we can test this function here again. Restart, clear output, and let's run this one. Oops. Also, for when you are calling the function, you don't necessarily have to display the map. So you can actually create a map, and then you can add the source control and then display the map. So when you display the map, doesn't really matter. You can do it after you finish everything, or you can display the map before it's done. Right now, you see here, this is a single base map. This time, if I type map.m.add search control, if you have your mouse, see the documentation, right? Now we have a position called top left, top right. By default, it's top left, right? So if the user don't provide anything, just call the function. It should add the search control to the lower left corner, to the top left, the top left side here, right? And if I click Knoxville, or you can search anywhere, right? And then click, boom, right? If you want to add something else, for example, I can come here, m.add search control, and then can position equal to top right. Okay. Run this one again. Now it shows up at the top right. Right. And let me change the zoom level to 4. This is how you customize, how you simplify the step, rather than user have to write many lines of code, right? Because earlier, if you basically right now you can learn from any example from here, and just think about how I reframe that in a way that I can use a function, just one line of code, to do a lot of stuff, right? So similarly, I can add a draw control, for example. If you come here, where's the draw control? Zoom control, full screen control, draw control, for example. And let's say by default, okay, I want to add a draw control. You see this one? It's actually pretty complicated, right? Don't expect that the users, if they're beginners, it's flexible. But sometimes I just want to say m.add draw control, just give me all the defaults. I don't want to write this so many lines, because I hate write. I don't want to write this many lines. Just give me a simple one, right? And do the same thing. Right now I can show you quickly how you can get this done. So what I need to do is simply come back to the function here, go here, and do the same thing. I will just simply def. Why am I so slow? Oh, it's fantastic. Add draw control, and then draw control equal to ipyleaflet draw control, and then blah 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 add control. And again, it's going to probably a little bit complicated, because you have to provide the parameters, and the user actually don't know actually what to provide. So we can come back to here, then you can simply just copy this portion, because we already defined the draw control, and then the draw control you can specify the polyline, polygon, blah blah blah. Maybe let's just try it before we add the functions, see if it works. Okay, and just Control S, see what happens, see what comes out. Then we can customize. So I just Control S. Now becomes a bit slow, but see here, I can add the drawer control, and see what happens. It might not be the one you like because by default it might not have any buttons. I'm not quite sure. But if it's not what you like, then we can customize it to a way that it's very slow. And you can do the same similar thing. You can add a position arguments just to define where you want it to come up. It should not be this slow. It might be just this one probably taking too much memory. Okay, it should be coming soon. Okay, look at that, pretty nice. By default, it's only have this like the line, polygon, and also the circle. Right now, I can just add. See here, right? You can remove. You can make edit. I can change it. And you can save it. You can also delete it, right? How about this? I want to add a rectangle. Right now, there's no rectangle, right? But if you go to the documentation, this one here, pretty nice. They have a line, they have a polygon, they have a rectangle, they have like a marker, they have a couple of others. So what you can do is actually pretty straightforward. I'm just going to copy these options because these are the options that provided there. I like them. Copy, Control C, come back to here, and go back to my function documentation, right? And so here, I'm going to create a drawer control, and then you can customize the drawer control. So press Enter, then Control V. You will need to indent it, otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, so I'm going to select whatever I copy, and then just hit Tab again. So what this is doing, basically, we're asking ipyleaflet to create a drawer control. And then we can add polyline, we can add polygon, you can customize the color, you can look at the options, whatever you want to add, okay? And then, Control S. Should take a couple seconds. Also, the add control here, the add control allows you to actually to specify the position. But for now, let's just forget about it, okay? I'm going to restart. I really hate it so slow, okay? And if I run this one again, now you should have all the options. Whatever is on the website, now you can customize, but just one line of code. It's no longer 20 lines of code. One line of code, you can customize. Take a look. Boom. And you have this. You can change the color, right? The color is being controlled by whatever you specify in your source code. So if there's something you like, you can change to blue color. You can change it. It's just a hex color code. So makes it really, really flexible. But at least right now, you know how you can actually add the stuff to your package. So lastly, you want to make a new release. So let me show you this very, very quickly. Show you how you can do that. So let me close off them. Assume that okay, I'm done with all the stuff. Oh, also by the way, make sure you add documentation, the doc strings. So once you finish all the functions, you want to add just like what I showed you last time, right? Right click, add doc string, and then make sure, otherwise it's not going to show up on the documentation. So you want to come back to here. It's already automatic, so it should have those show up on the website. But if you don't have this one automatic, create it. Make sure you right click, create doc string, and then just lastly, I'm just going to commit. So I say add ipyleaflet. And just Control sync changes. Now you should have this one ready to go. And the last one I'll show you is actually create a new version, right? So I can come back to here. I say so BAM version, page, minor, major, whatever you like. Okay. So assume, for example, right now I'm pretty happy with what I have. I want to release a 0.1, right? Previously it was 0.0 something, but now I can release a 0.1. So come back to here, on the right here. Oh, there's no release yet. Okay, so there's basically nothing in there. I can just simply create one. Go BAM version page. I'm not sure if I install. You need to install the version. We are running out of time, but go back to the video that I think a couple weeks ago, show you how to create a new release. And then it should be pushed to PyPI, then user can just install the package. So test it on your Google Colab once you release. See if you can create a map. Okay, so that's all for today. I will see you next week.
What comes before patch?
Say it again.
What comes before patch?
It will be bump version. So bump version, patch, minor, major. So usually if it's a small bug you want to just patch. If you, let me just show you here. If you want to. Let me see if we can do it here. Conda activate GOS, and right now I should have the bump version. So bump version patch is going to increase from whatever version you have, and now we can just git push text and then git push. So basically right now we bump version, we just add the text. Okay, you see right now it's 0.02 and then just push. You should have the 0.02 right now show up on the GitHub repo. So if I come back to here again, take a look at on the right, release, right? Now you should have a text, and this is where you can create a new version. So only 1 minute, so I'm just going to show you here. If you click this one, oops, new release. There are any release yet? I think GitHub might have changed something. It should be automatic. I'm not sure why it's not coming up here. Oh, let me call. The reason that because I didn't log in, so it doesn't allow me to create release. But if you log in, there should be a 3 dots somewhere there, and I can click the 3 dots on the right, and then just create a new release, and then just put in the same name, and then just put a description, just like whatever you want to release notes. Then you should have something similar to what I have in here. I can show you leaf map, and so on the right here you see all the new versions, right? So basically if you click the text, there should be a button there for you to create a new release, and then just enter whatever, usually the same name, and then just enter some description. It's create a new release, and they will be pushed to PyPI automatically. Okay, so that's all for today. See you on Tuesday.